Hi, this is Rick Gualtieri, and this is another Tales of a Midlist Author. In prior installments, I've mostly stuck to topics for beginners. People who are either getting ready to write their first novel or maybe just like one or two in. Um, Today, I wanted to get into potentially a more advanced subject, albeit it's still applicable to beginners. The concept of box sets. Now, most of you probably are aware of what a box set is. It's in traditional publishing, it's quite literally a cardboard box, typically filled with multiple books. And you buy it all at once, pay one price. For our purposes here, we're mostly going to be talking about it in ebook purposes, but it pretty much means the same thing. You're paying one price for multiple different stories, as opposed to individually for each story. So that said, there's pretty much two types of box sets. There's multi-author box sets and there's single-author box sets. We'll start with multi-author. It's pretty much what it sounds like. Typically, multiple authors who are connected in some way. It could be by genre. So, for example, I might join an urban fantasy box set with different fantasy authors, or it could be via subject. So maybe we're all going to write about vampires. One's going to be a vampire romance. One's going to be a vampire comedy. One's going to be horror. There's something that connects them all there. Typically box sets are not just like random stories. Although I guess you could probably sell one like that as well. Hey, random crap from different authors. But anyway, that's kind of the idea there. Sometimes they're organized by publishers, whether large or small. Sometimes they're organized by people getting together in Facebook groups. That's always a good place to to look. And sometimes, hey, if you want to be a part of a box set, put the word out there. Start your own group. Start your own threads. Ask around and say, hey guys, I have this story I want to put out there. I'd love to have others. Let's talk about it. So with a multi-author box set, you're going to see kind of a couple different kinds. One is existing stuff. This is pretty common, especially for series writers. It's like, hey, I'll put in the first book of my series, you'll put in the first book of yours, and so on and so on. So it's almost kind of like a starter sample pack, for new readers. So, I might tell my readers, hey, check out all these awesome stories by these other writers. They might do the same thing and all that. The other is all fresh material. So it could still be kind of a sample starter pack, but in this case, you put in the effort to write a story that's exclusive to that box set. And typically there is kind of an exclusivity clause, especially if you are signing anything. The general idea with that is you want to put something that's only in the box set to give people an incentive to buy it, because if you put it in the box set and then release it immediately on your own site, well, people might say, well, screw those other people. I'm just going to buy this. And they might do the same with that other author. So that's kind of something to keep in mind. Now, as far as multi-author box sets go, in a lot of cases, you're going to see them priced to sell, because the whole idea is, whole bunch of different authors, whole bunch of different audiences. We're trying to drag in as much people as possible. So that's why, if you go on Amazon, you'll see a lot of big box sets out there for 99 cents. It's really priced to sell. In other cases, it might be more than that, which is still cool because you're still getting a bargain. Even if you're paying $6-9 for for 15 stories, that's still a pretty good deal there. Now, they work best when there's a marketing plan involved. When you sit down with those other authors or with that publisher, and everybody kind of has hashes out what they're supposed to do, and everybody pulls their own weight. More often than not, you're always going to find a multi-author box set with a couple people who are bigger sellers than the others. And obviously their stuff is when they say, hey, go out and buy this, they're going to have a bigger reach. It doesn't necessarily mean, though, that they should do more work or less work. The whole concept of collaboration here is everybody pulls their own weight. So don't be one of those people who jumps in there and says, hey, I'm jumping in with a box set that Rick Gualtieri is on. I'll just let him do all the marketing, and I'll just reap all the benefits. No, that kind of just makes you a leeching dick. Not saying I've run into that. Most people are really cool with that, but I'm just throwing that out there as a cautionary tale. Pull your own weight. Even if somebody else has 1 million followers on Twitter, you have 100, something, push it as hard as they do, because those efforts are appreciated. And they are also necessary to make sure that, one, the book sells, and two, you're maybe invited back for another box set. All right, so that's kind of the multi-author thing. Those are pretty awesome to do. But now let's talk about single author box sets. Now, these are kind of like, you're probably going to fall into like one of two categories. One, it might just be a random collection of your own work, and it's usually not random. Say, for example, maybe I'll put out a short, like a collection of an anthology of a bunch of horror short stories that I've written. That could be one, as opposed to selling them individually. You know, package up 10, sell it for $2.99. Hey, good deal all around. Or if I'm a series writer, I could do either bundle up the entire series. So, for example, if I have a trilogy out there, I might say, hey, buy them all separately or buy them all together for like, one low price. Or I can split that up. My Tome of Bill series is going to have 8. So what I did was I have a box set out there of the first 4. When I'm finished with the series, I'll put out a box set of the second 4. So you'll still have to buy 2 box sets to get the full series, but you'd be able to get it at a decent discount compared to the others. And that's one thing you want to look at. Price it to sell. Don't look and say, okay, the 3 books together equal $9, so I'll sell the box set for $9.99. People are going to look at that and be like, what the hell? Some might buy it, but most people are going to be smart enough to do that math. I'm not saying necessarily you need to put it out there for 99 cents either to compete with some of those multi-author box sets, but you typically want to give people some kind of deal. So if 3 books are $9, maybe I want to sell mine for 6. So it's almost like getting 3 books for the price of 2. And the reason for that is it's really awesome for online advertising. I've been pushing my box set pretty heavily on Facebook, and 2 things that I'm pushing at. One, you can get it on Kindle Unlimited for free, with your membership. Or I'm basically saying, hey, guys, it's 60% off the full price of like the individual books. And like, people look at it and like, hey, maybe I'll give this a try. Now, the big concern there is, well, if I do that, then nobody's going to buy my individual books. They're going to cannibalize it. Legit fear to have, but honestly, I haven't seen it, and in talking to other authors, I don't think a lot of them have seen it either. And that's primarily because different people shop different ways. Some people are out there and they see a new series and they're going to say, I'm just going to dip my toe in. No matter how good of a deal this box set is, I'm spending less money. I'm buying the first one, and if I like it, I'll buy subsequent ones. Other people are like, hey, I like the deal. It looks like a good series. Let me dive all in, and get a bargain. So you're really kind of hitting 2 different crowds. The concept, I've worked in e-commerce, so the concept there is what's known as multi-channel retailing. It's slightly different commerce in that, or it's slightly different concept in that world, but it's applicable in that you're offering people options and you're letting them shop how they want to shop, not how you want them to shop. Options are a good thing. What you do when you have options are you sell more. Not necessarily 100%, but in a lot of cases, you have a better chance of selling more, and those customers are most likely going to be loyal because, once again, you're catering to their needs. You're not basically saying, well, this is the way I sell things, take it or leave it, tough noogies for you. Can't believe I said tough noogies, but whatever. Anyway, that's kind of like, one thing. I wouldn't worry too much about cannibalization, and worst case scenario is if you are cannibalizing it, take it down for sale, test it out. One word of caution, if you are in Kindle Select or KDP Select, part of Kindle Unlimited, you can't have it both ways. So you can't have, say, okay, my individual books in KDP Select, but I'm going to go wide with my box set that contains those first books. Amazon will shoot that down. It is not allowed. So you're either all in with Select on everything, or you're all out of Select with everything. So, just in case you're thinking, hey, I got an idea, it doesn't work that way. Oh, and one other thing I would offer is if you're doing audiobooks, consider doing an audio box set as well. Reasons for this are, one, once again, it gives you an extra launch out there, an extra release. Some people like to buy it. On Audible, people can buy your entire box set for 1 credit, and you still get kind of credit for that full sale. And once again, it offers people options. In my case, I did it because, one, it was easy to put together. I already had the audio files for all the 4 books. I just strung them together. I talked to Chris, my narrator. We recorded new intros for each of the books. Relatively minor work, and now it's out there for people to grab, and it's a bargain. 2, in my advertising, when people go to that product page, they see it. They can get it in ebook, or they can get it in audio. So once again, I'm offering people options. Options are a good thing. Lets them shop how they want to shop. The only thing I don't do right now is offer that box set in paperback form, only because it would be too long. It's really hard to offer that as a bargain. Okay, it's 1,200 pages of story, and I'm going to sell it to you for $30. And most people are going to look at that and say, I don't care how long it is. That's a ridiculous price. So maybe at some point I'll look into doing that in hardcover, but that's the only one I don't do, only because for an independent author, a really long book, and all of my books are novels, um, in paperback might be cost prohibitive. And also, I'm not even sure CreateSpace will allow you to print that many pages. So just something to keep in mind. And also for anybody wondering why I don't have it in paperback format. So those are my thoughts on a box set. I think they're an awesome one more tool to your arsenal. Worst case scenario, I would say, is try it. Put it out there. New cover can help. It's up to you whether you want to go with the 3D cover that kind of looks like a box set, or just kind of a standard 2D cover. I think the 3D covers work a little bit better from a sales perspective, but I think they're definitely an avenue to explore if you have a lot of books out there. So that's my thoughts on it. Whether it's multi-author or single author, box sets can be good for everyone, for the author themselves, and also for the reader. So it's can kind of be a win-win scenario. And judging by sales of mine, the Tome of Bill Volume 1, it's working out pretty well. So something to consider. Anyway, my name is Rick Gualtieri. This is another Tales of a Midlist Author, and I can't wait to talk to you again next time. Thanks.